taking over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast. It's Ferrall on the bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out. The bad seat, the boogie, the bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City. Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion shake-it-up, along with the gangster of golf, the Tater and Tutty King himself, Carver High this afternoon. Mafia running it along with Luke, I am your father. It's C2C on a Terrible Towel Tuesday. The lineup as we gear up for this puppy today. Morency, a double shot from Vancouver this very hour. Also in this hour, Mike DeCourcy, the legendary sports writer from the Sporting News. You see him on Fox Sports and Big Ten Network as well. He's everywhere. And then in the final hour, our boy, Brady Cannon in Cincinnati, beautiful down Las Vegas, baby. Talking golf with Carver High. Sidebar, Mafia and I went out partying with said Mr. Cannon in Las Vegas. We hooked up and partied with him, caused trouble. And Mafia was drinking gigantic beers in jugs. Then again, so was Mr. Cannon. And then I'm a grown man. I drink liquor. Are we on the air? We are? Okay. We had a good time with him, though. I'll say that much. He seemed really cool. And I already knew him. I had met him years ago. And he knows a lot of my friends in Vegas. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I never like when people know people that know people that know me that know others. And then they start talking and I don't get caught up in people's ruminations. You know what I mean? I really don't. Last night was better than sex. Watching the Eagles lose. You lose. Fly, Eagles, fly. Right to hell. How's that sound? So watching them blow that game, which is what they did. They blew the game. And so did Saquon Barkley, who had an outstanding game that goes down the toilet when you drop the pass that would ice the game and give you a first down, and instead they get a field goal, and then instead the Falcons get the ball with enough time to march down the field and score the winner. Speaking of winners, Carver High had the London Anytime Tutty at 220, plus 220, and he had the Smith Tutty, first Tutty of the game at plus 950. So we were well over a dime on those two props alone last night. And then Uncle Futrelli with the gadget 5.5 Falcons snag at a month club. Everybody's loving life. Kirk Cousins earning a piece of that $180 million with a huge road win on Monday night at the Link to give all of the people in Philly a massive bummer, a massive drag. And then the rest of them were passed out drunk by their tire, by their truck, because they drank all day in the parking lot tailgating. And then they woke up to find out that the Eagles lost and puked all over themselves again. Again, meaning it happened last year in the last 7 weeks, left and right. And it happened again last night. So nothing has changed in Philly. Nick Sirianni basically blamed Kellen Moore and said, I'm the head coach. I don't call the plays. And apparently doesn't have any power either, because why did they not pound the rock there with a guy that was having a great game pounding the rock? And then on fourth, they would have had their tush push, which earlier worked for him. And instead, they throw it to Barkley in the flat, and he dropped it, and that was that. And then the Falcons took advantage of it and slept with their sisters, which I thought was really kick-ass when you think about it. Like, I enjoyed every minute of it. So I went to play basketball last night, with a bunch of hacks, I might add. And then I proceeded to come home and enjoy watching the entire Monday Night Football game and the Eagles losing. Oh, man, was that awesome. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I got to tell you, it was a blast for me. Now, look, my team loses games. My team, they've been to 8 Super Bowls. They've lost a couple of them. They've won 6. And they lose frequently, but they haven't lost yet. And we talk about them a lot on the show because they're always tough. And the Eagles are overrated. They're just overrated. All we hear about is the Eagles. I mean, it is just Eagles TV. They're on prime time all the time. They literally make love to the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, the NFL. They can't get enough of them. And there's nothing like having them on your primetime game every week and seeing them lose. I mean, there really is nothing quite like it. I love it. I really do. We've got all of the fallout from the game, all of the excuses, all of the blame taken or delivered, and injuries, you name it. We've got it for you today on C to C. The whole thing was so overwhelming to Carver High that he won all that money that he went to the bar and he still hasn't returned from the bar. He went out and he hit it. Sometimes he'll say, I'm going to hit it. And then I'm like, oh, look how. And then he goes and hits it. And then you don't see him for a couple days. These things happen. And sometimes you have to send out the dogs to find him. They look for a scent. And then they find him. And then they bring him home. And everybody's happy. That's the goal, is to keep everyone pleased and happy. And we'll find Carver High and bring him home to Daddy. The Mets win, and they also got good news. Apparently, Mr. Lindor, their star player, over the weekend went down with a bad back, but apparently it was just a couple of day thing. So he's going to be, it looks like, back in the lineup this week. I don't know about tonight, but he's supposed to be back this week. And look, they won last night in 10 innings in a tight game. I told you that game was going to be tough against Irvin. 2-1 Mets. I went for it with the Nats and lost the bet, but I hit so many baseball games last night, you might as well call me Mickey Mantle. I had a lot of hits last night. The Braves lose in the wild card race. What a shame. What are you going to do when the Braves lose and the Mets win? Mafia, I'm actually rooting for your Mets. If you aren't noticing, because you've said before, you'll kill me if I keep talking bad about the Mets and Jets. You said to me in Vegas at dinner, you're going to kill me. And you threatened me. And you were drinking at the time, I thought I might add. The Tigers are 1.5 back in the AL wild card after their huge win in Kansas City. Am I tripping? Were they down 7 runs and they came back? Maybe they didn't. I know they won. I know they won at the K, and that's all that matters. And then the Twins lost at Cleveland, and I hit that game as well. So when you think about last night in terms of the baseball games, hit the Guardians, lost the Nats, hit the Dodgers, lost the Tigers, hit the Brewers, Cubs winners over the A's, hit the I lost that Skeens TV game. They beat them, the Cardinals, but I hit Colorado over Arizona. How about that? Rockies at plus $1.43. Boom, baby. And then the White Sox beat the Angels, and no one cared. And I hit San Diego over Houston at Petco with the good ice cream. So that was at minus $1.35, which was not exactly a Baconator, juicy Baconator. It was just, $1.35 is the limit for me. I'm not going into that $1.40, $1.50, $1.55 range. Too soaking wet and juicy for me. So tonight we've got everything under the lights in baseball. Plus there's 5 WNBA games, a really good one in the woods up in Connecticut. The Lynx and the Sun playing. The Liberty are in Washington, and the rest of the games. Actually, Vegas and Seattle isn't too shabby either. We'll do it all today on a Tuesday. C to C. Go with us.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of a week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Sports Rage weeknights at 10 along these lines and outer limits. Of course, on all of our TV stations, streaming networks that we're on, otherwise known OTTs. It's a fancy word for people at this hour of the day. Also, radio stations and satellite radio, Sirius XM Channel 159. With Gabe Morency, you can catch him every day on Coast to Coast as well with a double shot. Gabe, I've already been, I don't know if you heard, celebrating the amount of money we made last night. Listen to this. Carberry hit the first tutty with Smith at plus 950. Then he hit the London anytime tutty at plus 220. And then we hit the Falcons at plus 5.5 on the spread. And we were well over a dime last night. And the rum was flowing watching the Eagles choke. I was personally enjoying every minute of it. I don't know about everybody else.
Well, it was a wild finish. People in Philadelphia certainly did enjoy the ending. And an unbelievable drive by Kirk Cousins, who showed absolutely nothing for basically 7 quarters of the season. But the light switch just went on that last drive. There's a lot of talk about the Saquon Barkley drop and play. There were so many things that the Eagles did wrong not to win that football game. And it's kind of a pattern with Sirianni being unable to just win winnable games. I'll take you back to the first quarter, Scott. And it was a very similar situation with the Rams and the Lions on the first Sunday nighter. First quarter, early in the game, McVay goes for it instead of just taking 3 points and taking a 3-0 lead. And game ends up going to overtime. Last night, very similar situation. Sirianni decides to go for it, Scott, late in the first quarter of a scoreless football game. Like, there's no shame in just taking a 3-0 lead. Lo and behold, they end up losing the football game by 1 point after. So there were a lot of paths that got them to where they were. And something that's lost in this too, Scott, listen, it was a terrible play call in the sense of the risk reward isn't there. Right? You run the football, you can still get the first down. They were out of timeouts. The one thing you don't want to do is let them stop the clock, and you did it for them. right? So that should have been brought up. And Sirianni never really accepts responsibility. And we can get to that in a second, as well as we saw, the multiple coaching changes and coordinators coming in and out of here all the time. But Scott, on the play with Saquon Barkley, Juden jumped offside, bro. Right? So Juden jumped offside, but he got back on time. Nobody on the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line moved. All they would have had to do is basically, just snap the ball, move, touch him. Nobody moved, right? Like they had their opportunity. That's where when Kelsey's all lit up in the parking lot having a great time instead of being on the field. It should have been a penalty on the Falcons, but the Eagles offensive line didn't react to it. So Juden got back in time. Then they throw the ball, and then they kick the field goal, and somehow they allow the drive after. If anything, Scott, you can take joy in knowing that if there's any fan base that's more livid watching their team choke like that, it's Philadelphia. So, you have an angry fan base leaving that stadium after. But I listen, guys, a couple of years ago when they had Steichen and Gannon, it was a crisp operation. Well, look how good Gannon is. We talked about him, Scott, before the year started. I said I was high on Arizona. I'm a big fan of Kyler Murray. I'm a big fan of this coach. And Steichen, I think Steichen's a good coach as well. He's got a challenge right now in Indianapolis. Yeah. You look at Sirianni, different coordinators last year. He throws Brian Johnson, the OC, under the bus. Fine. The defensive coordinator, he took away the play calling duties last year in season. It caused friction within the room because they thought Sirianni was throwing coaches under the bus. And here we go again early in the season right now. Well, I don't call the plays. You're the head coach, bro. The game's on the line. You're standing right beside him. Don't pretend. Yeah, they're wearing a headset, Scott. They all hear each other. Like, you know what I mean? It was your decision to go for it on fourth down early. I know it's early, and I don't like being that guy, but Sirianni's seat's going to start to warm up fast, Scott, in Philadelphia. They have a ton of talent. They don't have a ton of patience. And if there's just sort of constant chaos within the room and the coaching staff, there's going to be problems moving forward.
Gabe, it's unbelievable to me how many late game blow-ups they've had from the end of last season, the last 7 weeks, and then here they are 2 weeks into the season, and they have another one in under 2 minutes left in the game.
And Jalen Hurts, too, Scott. And Jalen Hurts, who in the first half of the first game against Green Bay, very sloppy, casually throwing the ball up, turning the football over. Green Bay left points on the field. They should have won that football game. And then you look, I thought that he looked good in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter against the Packers. I expected it to continue, and he did make plays, but then he just casually, carelessly throws the ball away late, Scott. There was no need to do it. They still had another timeout left. It was first down. There was no need for him to force that throw. And especially with Elliott, all they needed was like another 15 yards, and they were going to be in field goal range. So, we can look at the Barkley play, Scott, but there was a whole timeline and a million things that went wrong for them. It's early in the season. It is what it is. They're in a bad division, but that was a sloppy effort by them last night. And for Kirk Cousins, gives them a little bit of confidence right now. Going back home, they host the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football.
Their defense isn't bad.
It's good.
The Steelers had 6 field goals. They never scored a touchdown in that game in Atlanta, and then I thought last night they came up big.
Oh, Atlanta's defense is the real deal. Everybody was talking so much about, they should have drafted defense. They didn't need to. They brought in Judon. They brought in Simons. And if Moores can do one thing, Scott, the guy's a very good defensive coach. Right? He's a very well-respected defensive mind, this guy. And you're seeing the impact that he's had already on this football team.
Yeah, that was huge for Morris and the Falcons last night in an enormous road win at the Lincoln for Philadelphia. And now they got, 1-1, and people can start talking about them winning that South again, even though Tampa looks so good to start. We got another shot with Morency coming up.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
So we were going to talk about it later, and Mafia can scrap those plans. Let's talk about it now with Morency. The Circa Survivor contest has, in 2 weeks, had the highest percentage of eliminations in the contest's short history. Now, it's been going on for a few years, but you've been stunned at the amount of people that have been blown out of this game. They're done because of their choices early in the season.
It really is amazing. It sounds so daunting at first. Wow, there's 14,000 people. Well, not anymore. I believe 77% have been eliminated now. 77% after 2 weeks. There's 23% of the entries left only. Absolute insanity because of massive upsets, Scott. Right? Week 1, the Bengals, big-time upset. Week 2, there were a lot of big upsets. Right? Like a lot of the big-time favorites lost. The Ravens lost. The Cowboys lost. The Eagles lost. So the carnage, and I guess it's kind of par for the course. I guess last year it was 67% were eliminated after 2 weeks, but another 9% of the field, Scott, were on the Eagles last night. So imagine that sort of like tension. You're watching your survivor pick go down on that last drive. You know, I'm still alive, but I'm kind of freaked out a little bit. I don't want to think about it. I'll just take it a week at a time, but I'm thinking, wow, 77% are out after 2 weeks. How the hell are we going to make it 20 weeks through this thing? You got to go 20-0, and you can't take the same team twice. So it's not easy, but the way I see it, there's 32 teams in the NFL. So that means there's 12 teams I don't have to take. Right. So there's sort of a list of a few teams that I don't want to take. And, I wouldn't risk and consider. But Scott, with injuries, who knows, bro? You, me, no one can predict the future, man. Who knows who's going to be starting at quarterback in a couple of weeks for these teams? There's going to be more injuries. There's going to be more crazy things that happen. So only 2 weeks in, man. And this season's insane. I just read something interesting in the Wall Street Journal too, Scott, about the New Orleans Saints. So we know about this explosive start that the Saints are on, but dude, the only two teams. Get this, Scott. The only teams before that have ever scored 40 or more points in their first 2 games of the season, they went to the Super Bowl. Like,
really?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like the Saints now have a 67% chance of making the playoffs. Like, not just because of their 2-0, but if you compare their numbers compared to past teams. But I don't think they're a great team, Scott. I mean, it's sort of an aberration, but maybe they're a lot better than people think they are. But all this stuff is true, guys. You go, like, only one team in NFL history has ever made the playoffs going 0-3 before. So this is real. Like, if you're 0-3, your season's pretty much done, right? 0-2, it's still only like 10% of the teams that make the playoffs if you go 0-2.
So 0-3, only one has ever done it?
Yeah. So, like Yogi Berra said, Scott, it gets late early here. You know what I'm saying? In the NFL season, it's a big weekend for some teams. But I think there's some teams that are 0-2 that are done. The Rams can't win football games without Nakua and Cooper Kupp. It's impossible. It won't. I mean, they're not. Their season is like imploding. San Francisco's pretty injured right now. Hell, Baltimore's 0-2 going into Dallas this week. Very big week of football games this week in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not sure Dallas is as daunting a project or road trip as it once was. They had won all those games at home in the regular season, but in the playoffs, the Packers raked them, and then they got raked by the Saints. Who are you leaning toward this week for the survivor pick?
Well, it's early, and I can't tip my hand too much, Scott, for the other 23% out there. Listen, the Panthers, there are some people, and it's not a bad strategy, they're just picking on the Panthers on a weekly basis, right? I mean, the Panthers are terrible. You can just bet again, take the team that's playing against them. I kind of regret. I took the Houston Texans this past week. I kind of regret not taking the Chargers because I don't really know if there's a better spot for me to take the Chargers down the road. And there were sort of other spots to take the Texans. That's something you've got to consider. But Andy Dalton now in, Scott, for Andy Dalton will be starting for the Carolina Panthers now. So it's a new variable for that game. But the Raiders will be a very popular pick this week in that contest.
Morency under a tremendous strain in the Survivor contest.
It's $14 million, bro. It's a lot of drinks for you and me, Scott. I'll take you out.
Not tip his hat and show us who he's taking. This is unbelievable.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the The Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Mike DeCourcy has been letting all of his neighbors know, not about voting on November 5th. He's been letting them know to clear out of Pittsburgh this weekend because Ferrall's coming in for the Steelers home opener, and it is not safe to be in the neighborhood. And everyone should make plans to go on a fall foliage drive out of town, maybe a short weekend down to Florida. Who knows? But he's been warning his neighbors. It is truly an unbelievable development in the Steel City. Of course, Mike with the Sporting News, legendary writer. And, of course, you can catch him during the hoop season on Fox Sports and on the Big Ten Network. He's very popular. And then he's on Coast to Coast every week. Thank God for that. I want to start with and you and I may not agree on this. I want to get and I'm okay with that, Mike, at my age, not agreeing with you on something is a big step for me because I've always loved your work. But I haven't read it. I just saw your article about Luke Fickell. And I already went on record saying yesterday that I think obviously Van Dyke went down and that game was over at that point for them. They weren't ready for that injury and the aftermath of it. And Alabama was just too much for them in Camp Randall. I thought Alabama would have been too much for them in Camp Randall with him. I have never been a Van Dyke fan at Miami. I'm a huge Kane fan my whole life. I never liked him, but I didn't wish that on him, an ACL tear. He'll play in his 35th college football season, I'm sure, next year with eligibility. But my point yesterday was that I think I saw an article, I believe it was by The Athletic. They rated all of the college coaches and put them in tiers. And they put him in the second tier, which there's only two guys in the top tier, like Kirby and Dabo. And then everybody else, the best of the rest, were in tier 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They had, I think, 8 tiers. And they had this guy Fickell in the second tier, and I am not having it. I am not having it. I am not having that he is one of the best coaches in America. I've seen no sign of that whatsoever. I am sorry. I'm not buying it.
No sign at all? I mean, what they did
no
at Cincinnati
sign at all. Whatever,
is no
Cincinnati.
sign.
I've seen Cincinnati win before.
Not like that. And certainly not after like that. They have not been good since he left. I think the question really is, I don't know how big the tier is that you saw, but I think the question is that will have to be answered. And for me, what I wrote about is whether that question needs to be answered now in his second season or whether he's on the typical time frame that all coaches used to be before you had the transfer portal igniting everybody's beliefs that we could turn everything around in 1 year. I think that's the question is, can he get some grace, so to speak? And he inherited a program in Wisconsin that was obviously not going in the right direction, or they wouldn't have moved on from Paul Chryst. There was no reason to move on if he was doing a successful job. Everybody liked Paul Chryst. So it wasn't that. They just weren't getting enough good players and winning enough big games. And so he takes over a program that's not in great shape. And then the chemistry of the job changed drastically, Scott, after he took it. And what I mean by that is that the entry of UCLA and USC, and then subsequently Washington and Oregon, led the Big Ten to abandon its East-West format. And when it was East-West, Wisconsin was the best job in the West. All Wisconsin had to do, basically, was be Wisconsin A, and then not have anybody like Iowa Northwestern or someone like that be way more than they ordinarily are. They couldn't have one of those Cincinnati-type years that Cincinnati had in 2019 and 20 and 21. They couldn't have one of those years. And if that happened, Wisconsin was winning the West every time. Then they changed it, so now there are no divisions, and now the schedule is more balanced. So Wisconsin, which played Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State a total of 10 times in the 9 years of the East-West division format, Those three teams a total of 10 times in the regular season. Now they're going to face multiple games against programs of that level every year. Whether it's Ohio State and Penn State or Ohio State and Southern Cal or whatever it might be in a given year, it's almost inescapable that they're going to face teams at that level. And can this Wisconsin, the Wisconsin that Luke Fickell invents, can they handle that? And then the second part of this is talent. The talent that was procured at Cincinnati, guys like Sauce Gardner and Brian Cook and Myjai Sanders, that all became significant draft picks in the NFL. Can they do the same thing with different people at Wisconsin? Because the guys who were in charge of recruiting then at Cincinnati are now working with the Indianapolis Colts, or they're working at Notre Dame. They have different people involved now. Can they be as good?
Fair enough. I'll say this. You talked about the talent he had. He also had a quarterback, and he inherited, I think, a program that didn't have a quarterback, and then he made the choice, obviously, to bring in Van Dyke, and it's unfortunate that the kid got injured. And like I said, he was never good at Miami, and now he's at Wisconsin. So here's kind of the afterthought of this whole thing. And I don't deny that guy can coach, but being one of the best in the country, I haven't seen it certainly I haven't seen it in Madtown. And then I see Cignetti get the job in Bloomington, and they have a wretched football program. And it has always been wretched, and it's been terrible. The only time they ever went to the Rose Bowl was 67 until they went last Saturday and kicked UCLA's ass. Now he's got a guy in Cignetti at Indiana who in 2 games is scoring like the New Orleans Saints, and they have a quarterback. And that guy's been there 5 minutes, and he's doing a better job than Luke Fickell.
Well, first of all, he has done a significant job of energizing the program. He used the transfer portal really well, brought with him, I guess is a better way to phrase it, a lot of James Madison players who were very successful there, brought them to the Big Ten. The schedule to this point has been advantageous. What we need to see over the course of the next month or so, they have a home game coming up against Maryland at the end of this month, and then early next month they have Nebraska coming in. Those are the games that will define Indiana's football season. If they can split them, they're going to have a really nice year. If they can win them both, they're going to have a phenomenal year and might even be competitive for one of the last spots in the college football playoff. If they don't win either, then it's year one. We're just getting started with this. We're going to be good in time. But those are the 3 designations for those 3 games. As long as they don't stumble, Charlotte, there's no reason why they should stumble. And then they have a Northwestern trip as well packed into the next month. But those 2 games in particular are the ones that are going to define the Hoosiers.
So respectfully here, let's switch to your soccer hire for the U.S. men's national team. Yay or nay on this deal?
Oh, I'm all in on this. I think it was a great choice. Mauricio Pochettino, there are some people in there's always got to be somebody that's negative, right, Scott? I mean, there has to be. There are some people who are trying to push back at him, saying he hasn't won that much. Look, he went into basically he took over what was a high mid-major program, is how we would define it. If Tottenham Hotspur or an American college, they would be a high mid-major program, maybe a low high major program, somewhere in there. They had made the Champions League one time in the 30 years prior to Mauricio Pochettino arriving. 1 year into his tenure, he starts a run of 4 consecutive Champions League performances. And what you have to do in order to get in Champions League is you have to be one of the top 4 teams in the Premier League.
Right.
So you have to pass up Manchester United or Chelsea or somebody to be one of the top 4, and he did it 4 years in a row, and he made the final in 2019, beating Manchester City along the way. He is a terrific coach. They're going to do very well under him. It's just how good are the players? They're better than we've had as a group, but now they're going to have to be pushed to be really competitive. There's been too much cruising in that team when they get to camp. Now they have to really put the pedal down.
All right, Mike, great stuff. You better get out of Pittsburgh. I'm headed there soon. Be careful.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
Carver High made me so much money last night that I told you earlier that we had to send the dogs out to the local tavern, to the mob bar, to wrestle him up and bring him back to the set for the show today because he's been on a bender. Whenever he goes over a dime in profits on one evening, on one game, he has been known to let it all hang out, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see that we finally found him. Good old Rastus got the dog, got him back here, and look at him. He's here and ready to go on a Tuesday. God bless that dog. What a great hound.
Yes, tremendous job by them all around. Yeah, did you like that last night? Plus 950 for Devonta Smith, first touchdown. Plus 240 for London, depending on when and where you got it. So nice night that we had with the touchdowns for Monday Night Football.
That when you did it, did you see I mistyped your name?
You didn't. You put the wrong handle in. I know. Somebody told you about it. Like, that's his handle. You get the handle right. You're giving you a business. Like, you know.
When I win $950, I start misspelling things. I knock over drinks. Step on the dog.
Everybody gets very excited when you get tickets like that. And I'm on a good run with the first tutties in prime time because obviously I had last night. On my own, obviously we didn't do a show on Sunday, but I had Nico Collins Sunday night, and we had Cook on Thursday night for that Bill Dolphin game. So we've had a nice run with the first tutties.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see if we can get that, stay hot with that Thursday night when the Jets and the Patriots get back together to start week number 3. All right, let's talk about this game. I know you already have, and you did with Gabe a little bit too. Let me give you some of the highlights. 22-21, Falcons beat the Eagles. Of course, the key play in this, Scotty, was the third down call by the Eagles deep in Falcons territory, under 2 minutes to go. Barkley drops the pass that, of course, would have given them a first down and they'd be able to finish the game off. Or they could have just ran it and killed another 40 seconds off the clock. They did not do either of those things. Instead, Falcons get the ball after they kick a field goal to go up 6. Down the field they go. Really the best offensive drive the Falcons had all night. And it ends, Scotty, with Kirk Cousins, Mr. Primetime, finding London in the corner on Westwood One Sports.
Third down 5. The ball at the 8 of Philadelphia. Cousins in the gun. 3 receivers right. Looks into the nickel. The shotgun snap. The center block. The line drive throw. Far side. Caught. Touchdown. at the pylon. London caught it chest high. Touchdown, Atlanta. 34 seconds to go. They've tied the game. A 7-yard Cousins touchdown pass. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I used a different phrase when I was watching, a different word altogether. But look, Drake, don't call me Danny London. Mafia knows that name. Anyway, what a play. Better than the Barkley play where he, I think, dropped a perfect pass in the flat right in his hands. He dropped it. I don't want to hear it was a bad pass. It was a perfect pass that he dropped. Now, look, I have a question for you. This guy had a really good game. He was averaging at one point 9.8 a pop on the ground. He was doing whatever he wanted. Aikman was raving how he's got such a better line in front of him. He's going to lead the league in rushing. He threw that out there last night as well. And then he cost him the game. So my question is he the answer to the Eagles season, or is he the reason the Giants got rid of him? I thought they got rid of him because they didn't want to pay him because he was always injured, not because he wasn't a great player. I'll agree with him that he never had a line in New York. Everything he did in New York was pretty much on his own.
Look, first of all, I'm glad that you were able to stay focused on the game, even though ESPN became like a Philadelphia Eagle affiliate last night.
It's embarrassing.
I
Talk about that on another subject.
It was hard to see through all of that with all the Eagle propaganda that was going on during the game. But look, I think that there's some Giant fans out there who last night were kind of given a you see, that's what he does. He drops passes in big spots. He does this, does that. Look, I think Saquon Barkley's a really good football player, Scotty, who had one bad play last night. The unfortunate thing for him is he had the one bad play at the absolute worst time that you could have the bad play, which is dropping the football at the end there. I think he's already through 2 games. You can see what he brings to that offense. He had 3 touchdowns the first game. He almost scored last night. He missed it by a half inch. And then, of course, everybody who bet Barkley to score had to get screwed with the dopey tush push with Hurts down there at the inch line. And we lose the Barkley touchdown. But either way, I think he's a great player who had one bad play. And some Giant fans think that he's not a big money.
Maybe a minute. And so we wanted to go up 6 points, and it didn't work. So, the decision to pass it there, again, like I said, where they were junking it up inside, with it being 4th and 3 to go for it, I thought, with them not having any timeouts, I wanted them to be down a touchdown and see if they could drive the field, and they did.
Well,
yeah, you lose. Okay, so
first of all,
he also blamed Kellen Moore, who he said he made the call. He said, I'm the head coach, but he picks the plays.
He's talking about junking it up at the line there, right? First of all, going from 3 to 6 in that spot, I know this is kind of like charts and graphs type of stuff here, Scotty, but you're still only up 1 score. You got the big, bad offensive line with your tush push. It was 3rd and 3. I would have ran the play twice with him smashing in the line. You're telling me in 2 downs he wouldn't have got 3 yards and they would have picked up a first down and ended the game with the dopey play that they run, the tush push? They could have got 3 yards in two shots and been done with it. Not kick a field goal. Just run the clock out. Game over. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't even have to give him the ball back.
I agree with you. And I also think it was a perfect pass.
It was a great pass. It was a great pass.
If he would have caught that pass, they would have talked about how brilliant they were at calling that play.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was Lincoln! But he had that program, was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
The sharpest football contest show in the land, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, focuses on Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, and the Westgate Super Contest, handicapping the games and releasing our contest picks every week of the season. With two former Super Contest winners, Brady Cannon and James Salinas, a former NFL player, Mike Pritchard, and over $1 million in contest prize money won combined, the Las Vegas Football Contest Show will have you prepared this season like none other.
There's nothing I hate worse than seeing like Jalen Brunson out there and Jason Kelsey doing a porno for the Eagles. And then this guy, Kelsey, for the entire second half, I had to listen to this guy knobbing the Eagles on that broadcast. And Buck and Aikman just served it up. They're like, say whatever you want. It was embarrassing. At one point, I wrote it on Twitter. I was like, he's just giving him a massive honk. You know exactly what I wrote. Like, I mean, it is just absolutely ridiculous. And then I don't understand, like, really? They're going to show him dancing around drunk in front of people, like on stage and acting like an idiot? And that's what they're serving up now? That's their game plan? I mean, honestly, I think they've lost their minds. Honestly, as an outsider watching it, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, you don't even see that ever, even on NBC, CBS. You don't see it on NFL Network. You don't see it on Prime. You don't see it on Peacock. When do you see big 300-pound lineman acting drunk and stupid and dancing around? And I'm just surprised he didn't take his clothes off last night. I mean, I think it's totally it's disrespectful to frankly, the audience. Like, what do they think? We're all a bunch of Eagle fans watching this guy clown for them? I mean, it's a joke. I'm not even wrong. I'm not even tripping. I'm dead right.
I know that he's kind of their shiny new toy when it comes to their broadcasting thing. Well, one thing about being when it's the national broadcast, and football games are all national broadcasts, unless you listen to the local radio. Every television game is a national broadcast in the NFL. It should not be so heavily sided. If you're watching the game, if you were an Atlanta Falcon fan last night and you had to watch that game in that spot, that's painful. It really is. If that was my team, I'd be fuming.
It's ridiculous.
And it wasn't my team, and I thought it was crazy. They have really jumped the shark with Jason Kelsey already. Like, it is way too much, way too fast. It's just. Everybody calm down. It's not that great. It's not that great.
Even just the appearance of it. Like, Troy Aikman and Buck are wearing really fancy clothes. Aikman obviously is ripped. He works out. He was even talking about how he works out every day. He has maintained his NFL quarterback body through the years. I mean, you know the deal. He's dating like some 25-year-old chick that's a smoke show, and he's got it all going body-wise and everything else. Outfits, drip. He looks fantastic. Looks like $1 million. They let this guy come in like a mobster sweatsuit in all green. He looks like a clown. And I mean, I just think it's terrible. And I'm not even like jealous. My ass. I'm over here like this. I'm betting on the Falcons. What you said before made all the sense in the world. Summed it up perfectly. You hit the nail on the head. if you are the Atlanta Falcons and the fans, you're watching this game, what is going on here? What is going on here? When you got to listen to some homerized milquetoast guy knobbing the Eagles for an hour and a half straight. Christ, I thought they were having him on for a segment like all guests.
No,
they'll have him on for a segment. They'll go, thanks for stopping by the booth. No, this guy's there the whole second half. And I was like, this guy talking about this center for 30 minutes. Like, honestly, I'd rather talk about fat chicks for 30 minutes than some center no one gives a rat's ass about.
You want to know what? I don't need it. Enough with the center talk, the offensive line talk.
No one cares about the center.
You want to know what I want to know about? I want to know why touchdown passes are down like 50% over the last 2 years. I want to know why we're not scoring as many points. I want to know why a lot of these games have become snooze fests at night. It's tough. I mean, listen, the end of that game was exciting, Scotty. But I sat here with you yesterday and I said,
not for Jason.
I want to see. The end wasn't good for Jason or anyone walking out of that place last night. The end wasn't good for any of them.
Wasn't it fantastic? What a facial. What a facial that I had to listen to this fat jabroni for an hour and a half. And then they lost on a last-second touchdown and then a pick by their, overrated quarterback who they've been cramming this guy down our throats now for years. What happened was he went to a Super Bowl, so they think he's this great quarterback. And ever since that Super Bowl, he sucked.
I actually think Gabe's made a good point with you. I've heard him mention it to you once or twice in the last week. I think that Sirianni losing Steichen and Gannon has made a much bigger deal than was talked about when it happened, because those guys were his coordinators when they went to the Super Bowl, and they have not been the same since. They just haven't. They have not been the same since they lost those two guys.
He's right.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
You know what? What can one of these quarterbacks or wide receivers do for me this year to make a wager? It's got to be the running conditions there for Jaden Daniels.
In regards to Jaden Daniels, I was on him in regards to the Heisman Trophy. I actually think he's going to do it on the ground, through the air, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, playing in Cliff Kingsbury's offense where he wants to spread it and throw it. I think he's going to put up dynamic numbers.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
The only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
New to the Live Golf Plus app. Watch Live Golf any way you want it. Follow any group. Replay any shot. Anytime, anywhere. Any questions? Watch Live Golf live and on demand.
He had 4 grabs in the first half for just over 30 yards, was injured, came back in briefly, and then had to be carted off.
We were pessimistic on Puka Nakua's injury to the same right knee, of that being a nothing, just a bursa, and that's it, as per Sean McVay. We felt there could be a small PCL component.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Ferrall has taken